Hello friends, welcome to Shriram's. The topic for today's discussion is ISRO's new satellite. After nearly a year of silence, Indian Space Research Organization successfully blasted PSLV C-49 from Satish Dhawan Space Center today. What did the PSLV launch? The PSLV rocket carried an all-weather Earth imaging satellite EOS-1, previously called RESAT-2BR2, and 9 foreign satellites. They were put into a low Earth orbit. What does the EOS-01 do? EOS-01 is an Earth observation satellite intended for applications in agriculture, forestry, and disaster management support. Land and forest mapping monitoring, mapping of resources such as water or minerals or fishes, weather and climate observations, soil assessment, geospatial contour mapping are all done through Earth observation satellites. EOS-01 carried an X-band synthetic aperture radar. What about the foreign satellites? 9 satellites were launched from customer nations of Lithuania, Luxembourg, and the US. The customer satellites were launched under a commercial agreement with New India Space Limited. In order to commercially exploit the products and services emanating from the Indian space program, the New Space India Limited or NSIL was incorporated in 2019 as a wholly owned Government of India company under the administrative control of Department of Space. NSIL is the commercial arm of ISRO. What is PSLV? Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle is a medium-lift launch vehicle designed and operated by ISRO. It was developed to allow India to launch its Indian remote sensing satellites into sun-synchronous orbits. PSLVs can also launch small satellites into geostationary transfer orbit or GTO. PSLV is often referred to as the workhorse of India's space program and has now completed its 51st launch. How did the pandemic impact ISRO launches? ISRO's launch schedule was upset by the coronavirus epidemic. ISRO planned high-profile missions like Aditya L1, the first exploratory mission to Sun, and unmanned Gaganyaan, the precursor to India's first manned space flight, and Chandrayaan-3, the third mission to Moon. What is Aditya L1? The Aditya L1 mission was conceived as a 400 kg class satellite carrying one payload, the Visible Emission Line Chronograph, and was planned to launch in a 800 km low Earth orbit. A satellite placed in the halo orbit around the Lagrangian point 1 or L1 of the Sun-Earth system has the major advantage of continuously viewing the Sun without any eclipses. Therefore, the Aditya 1 mission has now been revised to Aditya L1 mission, and it will be inserted in a halo orbit around L1, which is 1.5 million kilometers from Earth. The satellite carries additional 6 payloads with enhanced science scope and objectives. What is Gaganyaan and unmanned Gaganyaan? The Gaganyaan mission, India's maiden human spaceflight, aims to send a 3-member crew to space for a period of 5 to 7 days by 2022 when India completes 75 years of independence. The first unmanned mission was planned in December 2020, the second unmanned mission in June 2021. What are the uses of synthetic aperture radars? They produce high-resolution images of land. One big advantage that radar imaging has over optical instruments is that it is unaffected by weather, cloud, or fog, or the lack of sunlight. It can produce high-quality images in all conditions and at all times. Depending on the wavelength of electromagnetic radiation used by the radar, different properties on land can be captured in the image. For example, a low wavelength signal can capture tree cover or vegetation, while a higher wavelength or signal can penetrate even dense tree cover to look at the contours of the land beneath. EOS-01 uses X-band radars. What are they? X-band radars operate at low wavelengths and are considered best for monitoring of urban landscape and imaging of agricultural or forest land. Radar images are also considered to be immensely useful for military requirements. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast.